Greetings to the Barbarian Horde, and welcome back. If you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. This is Chapter 3 of the Wailing Willow. If you missed Chapter 2, click up here or follow the link down in the trumpery below to catch up with the story. Research proves that when you like and subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon, you're statistically unlikely to be consumed by a dragon. And now, before any more eyes are in any way batted, Wailing Willow, written and read by Brian Carey. Chapter 3. After nearly a fortnight of bear hunting in the cold mountains, and being lost for a sizable portion of that time, Wulfric and Dane ate, drank, and ate some more. They sang with the bards, and they told many tall tales. And a few of those tales nearly resembled events that actually happened. "Gensilla," Dane signaled the serving wench. "My brother Wulfric doesn't have the sense to know when he ought to call us a night, and truth be told, we've enjoyed ourselves very much. We need to pay our chit, and we need room for the night." "Of course, my lord. Simply see the dweller at the bar. His name is Fidric Coppercudgel. He can take care of it for you. Oh, and do try to say his name proper. He's a bit touchy about his name. Fidric Coppercudgel," she repeated. When Gensilla flitted off to attend another table, Dane, now slightly inebriated, leaned toward Wulfric. "I'm going to see the dwarf at the bar. Fidget Copperbottom or something, and get us a room." "You do that." Wulfric nodded slowly. The dragon's milk left him feeling warm and fuzzy. Dane reached into his cloak for his coin pouch, but found it conspicuously, nay alarmingly, absent from its normal dwelling place on his belt. Dragon's milk or not, an expression of great concern consumed Dane's countenance. "Wulfric, did you take my lizard?" Wulfric, irritated, shot back. "No, why would I take your purse when I have my own lizard, right?" Wulfric reached into his own cloak to exhibit his own manlier leather coin purse, complete with an open-mouthed python embroidered on the front. Although the reasoning behind adding embroidery to a purse for the intent of making it more manly is questionable, even when sober. "Dane, Terrible realization hit him. "My lizard is gone. I've lost all my coins." "That bald old elf," Dane realized with contempt. "Remember that old knife-ears that hugged us when we came in? He filched us." Wulfric closed his eyes in humiliation. Pilfered by a tree-humping granola smoker. I have never been so ashamed. Where is that Feyboy? I'm gonna beat him to death with his own arm. The brothers visually scoured the Wailing Willow, but the purloiner of people's python purses was nowhere to be found. When the serving wench trotted by, Wulfric's shout whispered, "Gensilla!" who hurried over. "Do you remember that old leaf-eater that was in here? He was really old. He had points." He gestured out from his ears. "An elf," Dane clarified. "Really old, black eyes, drunk as a skunk, old man spots on his head." "Oh yes, I do recall seeing him lastly through the window. Had a bit of trouble hauling his sleds of furs behind him, but that was a while ago. No idea where he's off to now. Sorry about that, lads." She spun around, blonde curls bouncing on her ivory-white shoulders. "Hauling furs?" This time, Wulfric didn't even notice Gensilla's flirty mannerisms. His muscles tensed. He struggled to curb his outrage. "That son of a stag-rain and a snake-sucking pignut!" "Well, Drac, what do we do now?" Dane's face suddenly showed confusion. "Wait, snake-sucking pignut? That doesn't even make sense." "What?" "You know, you're not really that good at insulting people." "That's what your mother said last night." We're brothers, so you insulted yourself?" "Dane, just close your custard hole for a moment and let me think." "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. A nash and dash?" "A chomp and stomp?" "I don't think so. There are a lot of laws and guards here in Mercer. Law and order and all that. And if we did run, furs are gone, save what we're wearing. Maybe we could just explain it to the dweller at the bar and he would understand?" "And admit that some daisy-eater got the better of us?" Wulfric put his face in his hands. "So much shame." Mustering his capability to push the effects of the dragon's milk aside for the moment and think, he pondered a good while before arriving at a decision. Dane, I've got nothing. So let's try it your way. Explain it to the Dwemer. But be ready to run. I'm not spending my days in someone's dungeon under any circumstances. Not ever. Do you hear me? No dungeons. With a firm new anti-dungeon policy now in place, the two brothers stood up, bellies full of the Wailing Willow's meat and ale, and plotted a course for the bar. The walk was slow and ponderous, like men walking to the gallows to be hanged. Pardon me, Mr. Coppernoggin. My name is Wulfric Brynjar. Coppercudgel, not Coppernoggin, the dwarf retorted curtly, not appreciating how blunderously his name had been mangled. My name is Frederick Coppercudgel, but Coppernoggin is of course the proper mispronunciation. You're here to pay your chit, yeah? Might I also interest you in paying for a night in one of our premier upper rooms? Yeah, about that. You see, there was this dwarf. Elf, Dane corrected. Elf. There was this elf. He had points. Gesturing to his long, non-existent elf ears. Ancient as dirt. Old man spots on his head. You see, so when we came into your fine establishment, he greeted us with open arms. What my brother is trying to say is that an elf in your establishment has pilfered us clean, and maybe you should call the city guard to apprehend him. An expression came over the Dwemer's face, as if he had just been poked rudely in the nose. He clearly didn't believe a word of their story. Are you trying to tell me you sat right there, ate up all that steak and mountain spuds, drank up all them spirits and ale, laughed your barkasses off, harassed one of me servant wenches? His voice raised with each item listed. The music stopped mid-song. The Wailing Willow fell to silence. Only the occasional pop and snap of the fire could be heard. And now you have no means to pay? At the last shouting at the brothers, Fidrig no longer resembled the once jovial dwarven bartender. Instead, he loomed as Fidrig, the Dwemer warrior. And he appeared quite cross. Wulfric, on the other hand, now feeling he was at the very least somehow in the wrong, looked like he had just been called out for breaking wind in church. All the eyes in the room fell on the brothers. The scene in the tavern felt strained. The tension could be cut, as the old saying goes, with a dull orcish saber pick. Someone ran out of the Wailing Willow, presumably to call the town guards. A mage in the corner raided a capture spell so that blue translucent chains floated, circling around his fist. The spell emitted a low, menacing hum. Yeah, well, but again, it was that ancient relic tree humper that looted our lizards. The elves in the room were not amused with Wulfric's choice of words. Yet hearing this, the table of halflings started checking their respective pockets for their own gold purses, as did a red-bearded dwarf sitting nearby. Soon everyone in the Wailing Willow had quietly and surreptitiously double-checked their various wallets, purses, pockets, and lizards. Dane, sensing overwhelming public disapproval, shifted around to stand behind Wulfric, though hiding in plain sight just made him look more guilty. Wulfric was indeed a barbarian and a rough-and-tumble huntsman, but difficult social situations were in fact not his specialty. He would much rather face an angry ridge bear, knife in hand, than be thrust into an awkward social situation. As would we all. Nevertheless, it is important to note our heroes' hearts were in the right place. Their desire to do good was above reproach. They were determined to make the right, admirable, and upstanding choice regardless of unforeseen events and consequences. Dane, Wulfric whispered in panic. Nosh and dash! Nosh and dash! Anxiously nodding his head toward the tavern door. You know, Mr. Copper... Dane stumbled at the name, and with very poor timing. Copper Cudgel! The Dwemer irritatedly interjected. It's not really that hard. Say it with me. Copper Cudgel! And with that, he pulled a real cudgel out from underneath the bar as an intimidating visual aid. He held a large club with nails sticking out of it at random angles and locations, pointed at it, and observed, Cudgel. Yes, well, at some level, Dane continued. You see, my brother and I, we're actually the victims here as well. So you say? Copper Cudgel's expression dripped with scorn and doubt. Wulfric looked at the cudgel and unconsciously put his hand on the hilt of his sword. His action, however, did not go unnoticed by the dining hall's occupants. The tension in the room grew worse. It was like watching a mammoth herd stampeding toward a bunny farm. Everyone knew it was going to be awful, yet nobody could tear their eyes away. Perhaps you could give us some time to work up some coin? Dane continued. So the moment you take your leave of the Wailing Willow, I'll never see hide nor hair of you again? No, thank you. His black and gray beard waggled as Copper Cudgel shook his head no. Gensilla, beholding the conversation, sauntered gracefully up to the bar, her blonde, bouncy locks flirting with her bare shoulders. And here I thought you boys were fine and upstanding folk. Her words were detached, while her eyes critically scrutinized Wulfric. Or perhaps we could work off our debt to you in some other way? Cedric Coppercudgel stroked his thick beard and pondered the offer for a moment. Then he offered, I see you boys have swords and daggers there. I take it you're adventurers of some sort. Handy with those weapons, are you? Wulfric surveyed the room. We've battled our way out of some tough situations. Finally, a concept Wulfric could confront head-on. He was clearly being challenged to fight his way out of the tavern. He contemplated the glory of battle. Brothers outnumbered 20 to 1. The slaughter would be epic. Bards would sing songs about Wulfric and Dane. Gensilla's heart would break at each retelling. Well, maybe you could take care of a wee small problem for me, and I could take care of your problem for you, the Dwemer offered. What say you? Wait, what? Like a needle scratching a record, Wulfric's thoughts stumbled as his mind gathered that the epic slaughter of glory and battle were right out. He quickly recovered. That is, an agreement might be struck. What task did you have in mind? I've got a wee nasty down in my cellar. Sometimes it makes all kinds of unworldly racket when the guests are trying to sleep. Kill the wee beastie for me, and I'll cancel your debt and throw in a night's lodging at the Wailing Willow at no cost to boot. Exactly what kind of beastie is... Dane tried to ask, knowing the devil was often in the details. Before Dane could finish his question, Wulfric saw the look of rising hope and expectation in Gensilla's eyes. Done and done, Wulfric blurted out, thrust forward his hand. The men shook on it. Oh my, you're so strong and brave, Gensilla gushed with a come-hither stare. If you could really take care of that wee beastie downstairs, I would be... She looked coy. Ever so thankful. Wulfric sought but failed to conceal his now bursting self-esteem. You can count on me, milady. Oh, he called me a lady. My, how you flatter me, kind sir. Gensilla batted her eyelashes and then looked away. I reckon I'll see you after your work is done then. As she sashayed away, she glanced back over her shoulder to make sure Wulfric was watching her. Once the deal was struck, the tension quickly melted from the room. The mage disengaged his blue chain spell, and the general tone of the room quickly reverted to the chaotic din of chatter, eating, conversation, and conspicuous celebration. The bards resuscitated their song, though quieter than before. You see, Dane, solved. That's how you make a deal. Now all we have to do is kill this wee beastie Copper Bopper mentioned, and we'll sleep like lambs tonight. How bad could it be? How bad indeed. If only he'd allowed Dane to ask exactly what was in the cellar, things might have turned out differently. What do you think is in that cellar? Leave your guess in the trumpery below. Here's a hint. It's bigger than an orcish saber pick. To learn the secret, all you need to do is click the like button, and then the subscribe button, and then click the bell icon. Do that, and Chapter 4 will magically appear, right over here. Quick, click it! Click it before Wulfric and Dane make any more bad decisions. And then click here for Chapter 4.